Hello and welcome. You're watching Coronavirus Facts versus Myths. I'm Gargi Rawat. First up, let's take a look at the numbers. And India witnessed a 7.4% jump in new COVID cases as it added 41,195 infections in the last 24 hours. Now, the country's caseload stands at 3.20 crore, while the total fatalities rose to 4.29 lakh with 490 deaths, according to the data that was released by the Health Ministry. Well, let's now take a look at the COVID situation across the country and where we're currently at. The centre has said that COVID cases are stabilizing across the country, which is good news. Also that the R factor, which is the rate at which cases spread, has gone down. It had crossed 1 earlier, the 1 mark, but there, as you can see in that graph, it has now come down to 0.96. So that's important, because as it had crossed 1, that was a bit of a worry. That means that one person is infecting one other person. Active cases constitute 1.21% of total cases, which is the lowest since March 2020. But now if we look at state-wise, and the R factor in UP and Punjab is of a reason to be concerned, is what the centre has said. Punjab is reporting R factor of 1.3, while UP is at 1.1. Himachal Pradesh was at 1.3. UP being the most populous state, so that is a worry with the R number crossing 1. Now, if we look at Kerala contributed 23,500 cases to the country's daily numbers, and more than 40,000 cases of breakthrough infection where the patient contracts the virus after being vaccinated have also been reported from Kerala, according to the Home Ministry sources. The spike in breakthrough infection has opened up questions about how the immunity escape is taking place. Well, to talk more about this, we're joined by Dr. Anish T.S., member of the COVID task force in Kerala. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us. And Dr. Chandrakant Laheria is also joining us, epidemiologist and health system specialist. Thank you both for being with us on the show. So, Dr. Laheria, I'd like to start with you. What do you make of the numbers currently? Where do you think we're at? Have the numbers steadied? And do we now just need to focus on local areas, some states which are a worry?
So yeah, what we are seeing that in the last 4 weeks, the number of cases, daily new cases, have stayed between 35,000 to 45,000, and majority of those cases are coming from Kerala and a small proportion from Maharashtra. So that number has stabilized, but at this point of pandemic, we should not be focusing upon daily COVID cases only. For example, as you highlighted correctly, that R effective is increasing, and this should also be paid attention, and we should also be looking at the specific districts which are having test positivity rate far higher. So while at the national level this is a good news, but we also need to remember that this 35,000 to 45,000 cases a day is a far bigger, higher baseline than around 8,000 cases which were reported on 1st February 2021 in India. So we have stabilized the cases, but numbers are still high. And last point here is that what we need to remember that cases are being reported from all parts of the country, nearly all states. So transmission is happening across the country, though some states are reporting higher number of cases, and we are seeing increasing trend, and we have seen through effective reproduction numbers. So all those need to be kept in the mind.
All right, Dr. Anish, so what is the strategy now in Kerala? The cases are still high, over 20,000. Most of the cases are being reported from Kerala, but you are opening up more and more now. Beaches are also opening up for tourists. So what really is the strategy being adopted there?
Actually, as far as we know, from the data itself, it is evident that the lockdown strategies were more effective in Kerala. That may be the reason that the zero prevalence in Kerala is much lower than that of the country's average. That is only 44%. And the Google mobility data is also showing that lockdown was very effective in Kerala. And we have prevented so many infections at the peak of second wave, and we have reached only 44%. That means large chunk of the population in Kerala is prone for infection. So if you just, again, we will impose lockdown-like strategies, then the economic impact of these issues will be very high. And the social impact also. We will be just like punishing a population to be going for the real lockdown and really preventing the transmission. So we are trying to mix up the mitigation strategies to the containment strategies. So we are going for more like a micro containment in areas where clusters are appearing. If a particular area has got a large number, maybe more than 1% of the total population is affected or something like that, that whole area will be locked down. In other part, we are allowing some kind of relaxation so that people can leave. So this is actually a mixing up of lockdown as well as this mitigation strategy that is taking place in Kerala.
All right, Dr. Chandrakant, also what's come out recently is the fact that Kerala has had 40,000 cases of breakthrough infection when somebody who's been fully vaccinated gets infected. Is this worrying, or is this something that was expected? And the main thing to focus on is the fact that they it wasn't serious cases and very few required hospitalization.
So essentially, you can identify breakthrough infection if you are identifying cases. And that's what exactly happening in Kerala. Kerala is reporting approximately 40 to 50% of the total COVID-19 cases in India. And the number of breakthrough infections reported by Kerala is very similar to what has been, similar proportion what has been for the cases. So this is not worrying at all. Also, what we need to remember, though we pay a lot of attention on breakthrough infection, but what we need to remember that efficacy of vaccines are around 80%. Which essentially means that out of every 100 people, around 20 people are still susceptible, and that's why we keep reminding them to keep wearing masks. So while a lot of attention is being given on breakthrough, but we need to remember that vaccinated people do get infection, and even if the reported studies have found that around 8% breakthrough infection, 10% breakthrough infection, that is far lower than what efficacy, what ideally should be happening. So I'm not worried about those. What should be done, however, that breakthrough infections are being reported in that setting, the authorities should collect samples from those breakthrough cases for genomic sequencing. And we should keep watching that whether those breakthrough infections are happening due to circulating variants, or are there any other variant which is causing breakthrough infection. So we should do more analysis rather than getting worried.
All right, that's very, that puts it in perspective that this is not something, to get too worried about. It is something that is expected. So, Dr. Anish, you explained that the reason, we're seeing so many cases because everybody keeps saying what happened to the Kerala story. How come it's still reporting such high cases? You're saying that the lockdown initially was very, very effective, and that's why we've seen in the Sero survey that less than 50% of people have actually had the disease, and they're the ones who are now getting infected. But people also questioning whether is there some other sort of variant there that's circulating in the population. That's one of the questions that's been raised. Is that something that's being looked at right now?
Yeah, definitely. I agree to Dr. Lahiria on each and every point he has raised. Because suppose in Kerala, we are able to catch up every infection. That is what we are seeing in surveillance also. Even if the real infection happened very much less in Kerala, if you look at the number captured in Kerala, it is much ahead. Maybe it is almost equal to 10% of the population, where all India it is somewhere around 2.5% of the population. That means Kerala is able to capture cases, even it is mild. So breakthrough infections, if you look at the percentage, Kerala has got, if the real definition of breakthrough is having or getting infection 2 weeks after the second dose. But this 40,000 is not like that. It is actually including the first dose also. So definitely there will be breakthrough because majority of them were given first dose only. So 40,000 means we are able to capture whole cases, and we have got vaccinated more than 2 crore people in Kerala. 40,000 out of 2 crore is somewhere around 2%. And we are following up the breakthrough infections, and we know that most of these infections are very mild, just like cold-like symptoms, and they are not going for hospitalization, they are not going for death. And you may be knowing that Kerala is contributing, maybe the number one state which is contributing samples to the all India level of genomic analysis. And we have got 100% delta here. We do not have a variant in any of these breakthrough infections. And this much breakthrough is finding breakthrough infection is something very good for a system, because the system is able to find out very mild cases, asymptomatic cases. That is why we are getting breakthroughs.
All right, that's an important factor that some of these breakthrough cases are people who've had just 1 dose of the vaccine. And we know that, then the immunity or the protection is a lot less than if you've had both doses of the vaccine. And also the worry is now you're going into the festival season in Kerala, and that's something that I know is worrying a lot of you. Dr. Chandrakant Lahiria, now we know like Maharashtra is also opening up from the 15th. They're going to have their local trains opening up, malls are going to be opening up, but they're going to ask only people who've been vaccinated are going to be allowed to travel on the locals and going to malls. Is this the way forward, that we, ensure as many people get vaccinated and try to reduce vaccine hesitancy and, show that if you're vaccinated, then, you will be able to access all this?
So first thing is that nobody can say that how long we will be in the mid of pandemic, and nobody can say that how long the virus will be around. So with this kind of uncertainty, opening up is a natural thing that we need to open up.
Yes.
We also need to remember that the public health measures can be implemented based upon some scientific criteria, and that's what Kerala and Maharashtra are also doing, that they are allowing malls and other places to open up for vaccinated individuals. However, it needs to be more nuanced and granular than what some of the states are doing. For example, asking only those individuals who have received both shots of vaccines to can travel through train is not the right approach. In my opinion, such approach should be followed with fairly well advanced notice to the people. Like, for example, they should say that 3 months later, if people are not fully vaccinated, they may not be allowed to board a train or something. These are allowed in a public health measure, because the benefit of such major approach is far higher. But at this point of time, in my opinion, the people who have received even one shot of vaccine should be allowed, or other granular approaches need to be followed, and which is not happening, and that's kind of restrictive. Key thing is that essentials of the life should not be denied. Going to a mall or cinema hall is not essential in some sense, and the benefit of putting restriction by government are far better than any deprivation. So those measures should be done more granular. Localized approach should be done at the state level, district level, and localized level, and that's what should be approached. But opening up is a reality, and that's what we should do. Having said that, we should be mindful of the key events, for example, Onam in Kerala or any other festival around, and around those periods we should put restrictions back, or stringent restrictions. That's how the approach should be.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Laheria and Dr. Anish, for joining us on the program.